Hello! Welcome to the first lesson of this course, Introduction to Viewpoints for Movement Exploration. Today, in this first lesson, we're going to revise the three first viewpoints of time. These are tempo, duration, and kinesthetic response. Okay, so the first viewpoint we're going to see today is tempo. What is tempo? Tempo is a viewpoint which measures the speed in which something happens, in which an action happens. It can be slow or fast, and everything that's in the middle of those ends of the spectrum. In tempo, in viewpoints, we can imagine that we have a scale from 1 to 10, for example. 1 being the slowest you can go and still call it movement. And 10 being the fastest you can go without hurting yourself or endangering others. So 5 will be the medium velocity, the medium speed in which we move regularly. So for example, if I do this simple movement, this will be in a 5. It's the medium velocity in which I move. It's kind of neutral. It can be kind of boring if everything we do is in a 5. And a 1, the same action in a 1 will be like this, for example. Okay, and in a 10, which will be the other way of the spectrum, the most fast I can go without hurting myself, then this movement in a 10 will be. Okay, so now you have an idea. So if we're focusing on tempo, the movement itself is not the most important part, but the awareness we have of the speed at which we are doing it. This can help us build a story, because if we do a movement in 5, then it means something, but it takes a completely different meaning if we do it at a 10, at an 8 of speed, or the other way, a 2, a 3, a 1. So the speed at which we do actions can affect the meaning those actions have in our storytelling. So this is a tool we can use while creating meaning in a piece of movement. Or it can be as well a tool to explore movement in our movement exploration sessions. So now we're going to see the next viewpoint, duration. So if tempo asks us how fast or how slow are we doing a movement, duration asks us how long are we going to stay in that movement or in that tempo. So now we're beginning to see how the viewpoints relate to each other. There's no way we can do only one viewpoint, because we're constantly doing all of them in everything we do. But we're going to see that more later in this course. So the duration. Duration is the amount of time you stay in a movement or in a sequence of movements before changing to another thing. So one example of duration can be, maybe I'm moving my hand in a 5, and I can move my hand in a 5 for an hour. That would be boring, right? So maybe I can move my hand in a 5 and then in a 10, and then I'm going to stay in a 1 for God knows how many seconds. And before it gets too boring, I turn again. So it's all about the duration of stuff. Okay, so in duration, we get more in depth about the meaning of movement. If you repeat an action for a short amount of time, it has one meaning, a different meaning that if you repeat the same action but in a different, much longer amount of time. This goes as well to the tempo. What does it mean? What environment does it create if I stay 5 minutes in a 1 or 2 tempo? And how quickly do I change tempos, or how slowly? Those are questions we have to ask ourselves in our movement exploration. The third and last viewpoint we're going to see today in this lesson is kinesthetic response. Kinesthetic response is a spontaneous action that happens in reaction to an outside movement or sound or whatever. It's something like this. For example, if someone throws something at you and you're not expecting it, you move, you flinch, or when someone claps in front of your eyes and you squeeze them, that's kinesthetic response. It's an immediate response to the stimulation, to the external stimulation of your senses. So if tempo asks how fast and duration asks for how long, kinesthetic response asks us when. When do we move and in reaction to what? So that's all the information we're going to learn in this lesson, those 3 viewpoints: tempo, duration, kinesthetic response. Now we're going to continue to a movement exploration session. I'm going to be guiding it. It's a simple exercise so we can be able to understand more deeply the viewpoints in our body and in our movement. I'm going to do it and you can follow it as well in your home. Okay, so in this movement exploration, we're going to revisit the 3 viewpoints we have learned. So we're going to start with tempo, and then we're going to be adding the other ones. So first we begin moving, walking in the space we have. As you can see, I have a small space. So if you have a small space in home, don't worry, it's fine. Just be familiar with that space and the limits you have so you don't hurt yourself or you don't break anything in your house. Okay, so now I'm walking in a medium tempo, right? Perhaps it's a 4 or a 5 in a scale of 1 to 10. So now I'm going to start adding changes of tempo. What happens if I, for example, explore a slow tempo? Or maybe I can explore an even slower tempo. A 1. Remember, a 1 it's as slow as you can go and still call it movement. Okay, now you can go in any direction you want. So now I'm going to be a little more faster, maybe explore a different tempo. and change tempo whenever I want. So now maybe I can explore a 10. What would be a 10 in this space? Remember that 10 is as fastest as you can go without hurting yourself. So right now I have a small space, so maybe the fastest I can go is not the fastest I could go in a more open space, but we're going to try it. So this will be a 10 in here. Okay, so I'm taking care of myself, and if I'm with others, I'm taking care of my other partners in the space. So now we have explored tempo. We're going to add duration. So now instead of thinking about how fast or how slow we move, I'm going to start thinking, how long can I stay in the same tempo? Or how quickly can I change tempo? So we're going to start to see that we have patterns in our movement. What are the tempos we are refusing to use? And maybe if I like to change quickly my tempo, I can challenge myself to stay in one tempo for a long, long time, way beyond the comfortable. So it's a challenge. Now we're going to start thinking how much time I can stay moving like this before I get bored. And even if I can stay moving like this, even if I'm bored, so I can push my boundaries. When do I feel like I need to change? And why? Are changes quick? Can I make them more quick? Okay, now we're going to add kinesthetic response. This is the more difficult one to add in home space, because if we're doing this lesson alone, we don't have someone else to respond to react. So what we're going to do, I'm going to ask you to listen very carefully to the sounds of your surrounding. So if I'm walking over here, and then maybe now I'm hearing the sound of a car, maybe the sound of the car makes me want to stop. And I will continue my movement when other sound or other movement makes me react to it. Okay, so I react to my current movement. So now I'm not thinking about how much or how fast or how slow I'm moving. Even though I'm not thinking of them right now, they are still part of my movement exploration. But I'm thinking in when. I'm letting my surroundings affect me. partner who you're taking this class with, you can react to their own movement. In addition to the movement of your environment and the sounds you're hearing. So, this was a very short exploration of the 3 viewpoints we learned. It's very limited because of the limited space and external stimulus we have in our own homes, but hopefully it was enough for you to have the basis of viewpoints movement exploration. So hopefully with this basis, you can go and make your own movement exploration. This was very simple, just moving through space so we can learn and understand the basic principles of viewpoints we saw today. So in your own movement exploration, you can explore in more movements. What happens if this movement I make it slow or fast, or if I stay in this tempo and then change. So we can add tempo, duration, kinesthetic response to every movement exploration we can imagine. So this was all for today. I hope you learned something new. I hope you enjoyed the lesson. And for the after class work we have to do, because this is going to be your continuous evaluation activities, I want you to first record you doing a movement exploration in when you're thinking about these 3 viewpoints we learned: tempo, duration, kinesthetic response. So you're going to record yourself exploring your movement, thinking about these principles we learned, and then I want you to watch the recording of yourself and in a voice note analyze the movement you see yourself doing. And please use the words, the vocabulary we have seen in this lesson, such as tempo, such as slow, fast, the 1 to 10 scale, duration, kinesthetic response, external stimulus, etc. The video and the voice note, you're going to upload it to the platform. This is your first evaluation activity. And then your second activity is your journal. You have to start a journal in which you write and reflect about what you learned and most especially what you experienced in your own body and how your understanding of movement is changing with this new knowledge. So this is all. The instructions, more detailed instructions, will be uploaded in the platform if you want to see them again. And I hope you enjoyed your day and the rest of your lessons.